On today's episode, more with Yancy Culp and an announcement about bonus episodes of the podcast.
This is the world's toughest podcast. Welcome to the world's toughest podcast, where we talk about any obstacle course race you'd like, as long as that's world's toughest mudder. Each week we talk to members of the WTM community and share stories of success and failure in the single greatest event in OCR. My name is Will Hicks, and this is the world's toughest podcast.
Today is the second part of our conversation with Yancy Culp. We get into the nitty-gritty details of how to train for world's toughest mudder. But before we talk to Yancy, don't forget on Saturday, July 22nd at 4 o'clock Eastern on CBS is Toughest Mudder Los Angeles. Watch the show, TiVo the show, watch it again on your TiVo. If we want more Tough Mudder on TV, we have to watch when they put Tough Mudder on TV. We're also going to try something on the podcast here and rebroadcast our Toughest LA recap episode this weekend in honor of the TV show. This is a bonus episode. It's not going to count against your weekly allotment. The podcast will go live one day before the show airs on CBS as a reminder to you and as a way for new listeners to find the show and find something that they know about automatically. You'll remember the episode of the podcast. Josh Cox was my guest. I enjoyed it very much. We'll also do the same with Atlanta. Let me know what you think of the bonus episode idea. Shoot me an email at willhicks@gmail.com. Find me on Twitter at @thewillhicks, or leave us a review on iTunes. Those are actually really good, the iTunes reviews. When I get sick of editing the podcast or when Matt B. Davis is acting up again, I go and read the nice things people say about our show. I appreciate the reviews on iTunes. It's time to talk to Yancy Culp. Let's go to the phones. Hey, getting back to training just for a minute. If someone wants to run 50 miles at World's Toughest, what should they be running per week, like training-wise? How many miles should they be putting in if that's their goal?
I normally gauge everything off of time versus mileage, and the reason I do that is because when you take on a new client, they see a lot of dramatic increases in their pacing, over the course of that first 6 months to a year, for example. And if you're going by mileage, the amount of time they're putting on their feet will start to dramatically drop because they're sitting at a certain amount of miles. So I like to go by time, and I'll use, so let me back to your question was somebody that's never done it and they want to try to get their brown bib. Is that correct?
Sure.
If we were starting right now, I would assess the amount of time they've been putting on their feet right now, and I'll just pick an average. So they've been doing Tough Mudders and Spartan Beast. I'll say that we have that kind of client, so that type of distance. And they're putting in 5 to 6 hours on their feet. And what I will do to prevent kind of a shock situation is with this much time left, we have to obviously crank up our time in the aerobic training zone and our long slow distance training zones 2 and 3. To get the body and the joints acclimated. It's more about, as you know, it's more about getting the body acclimated as far as the running is concerned than it is about getting the heart and lungs acclimated, because it's such a kind of a long, slow grind. Even if you're going for 75 miles plus, you're still in that. You're kind of in that zone 2 running, fat burning phase, but what I'll do, Will, early on with some of my workouts is I'll work in what I call bricks. I'll give you an April or Morgan or Allison workout, for example. We might do a 4-hour. I'll give you one of their specific workouts. So a 4-hour workout, and we run for 25 minutes. We do some very specific strength training to work on our leg strength, and obviously a lot of grip and pull strength endurance, and some core strength. And wherever we are at, we had 25 minutes of running and then maybe 10 minutes of exercises. So we have 25 minutes left, and we'll go on the bike. or some other form of aerobic training. And what that allows us to do is work up to 4, 5, 6 hours where we're putting the body through a pretty challenging workout. But when you add it up, you only have, max, let's say around 90 minutes of running time, but a very long duration of total aerobic training time. And we'll work into those for a while. We'll start with 3 hours and 4 hours, then get some 5-hour workouts like that in. And what happens is you're able to recover 2 days after that workout. You're much more recovered and ready to go again than you are just going out and doing a 4-hour run. We'll also do things like tire drags, long distance tire drags, long hikes, brisk walking. Brisk walking on the treadmill at incline. So we're actually getting a little more effort. We have to put a little more effort in to accomplish that, but we're at a brisk walk pace, which there's sections of Tough Mudder, of World's Toughest Mudder, and most of the toughest mudders where you're going to be in that brisk walk mode because of the elevation gain, unless you're up there with the Adkins territory where they're still shuffle jogging up most of those steep inclines. But so I'm going to increase their total time. And with this much time left, I'm going to want to have about a 4 to 6 week training period where we work up to doubling that 4 to 5 hours they were getting on their feet. I'm going to want to at least double that time, but I'm not going to. But I'm always going to lean. And some people would disagree with me. I'm always going to lean towards slightly too little is much better than slightly too much. If you're going to lean one way or the other, it's almost impossible to nail it around the head. But I'm going to make sure 99.9% of my athletes are going to make it to World's Toughest Mudder healthy. That is when you're training for stuff like this, there's such a high risk of not getting to it healthy, man. And so sometimes the best thing I can do as a coach is helping you work up to enough time on feet to get you there and get you very prepared. But you feel like a caged animal and you're ready to attack that course when you get there, and your body is 100% and you have no injuries. I think some people beat themselves up, and it's now if we have 3 years to prepare for it, 2 or 3 years, that's going to look completely different, because now you have yourself in a situation where you are Allison or April or Morgan or Mark or Miguel, and you do have yourself in a situation where I can program for you different. And I'll put you on the side of the mountain for 3 hours, and every 5 minutes during that 3 hours, we're doing some upper body and lower body work. That's, I'm just not going to do that for a newcomer that's coming in. I run too much risk with that. I might get them into some 3-hour hikes where they're just acclimating their joints and their muscles and their hip flexors and stuff to where we're just brisk walking for hours. Now we'll definitely do some of that, but as far as high performance efforts for a long duration, it's a fine line, man. It's a fun part of the coaching job, coming from in the running. I ran track in college and I was a running coach, and it's pretty much black and white. Like if I'm training you for the 1,500 meters to get ready for a big race, that's pretty black and white. But man, there's nothing black and white in the world of OCR as we know.
What do you recommend to people as far as training nutrition? What should they be eating before, after, during workouts?
Well, you have a distinct difference in Tough Mudder. My wife is a sports performance dietitian for the University of Texas Athletic Department, and she's a rock star, one of the most well-respected sports performance dietitians. And she loves looking at. Let's look at Tough Mudder for example. You have 24-hour World's Toughest Mudder, and you have TMX, and then a bunch of stuff in between. The nutritional needs and the fueling for those two events has some very distinct differences. Tough Mudder X is a 100% glycogen, carbohydrate fueled energy burn. Anybody fueling for that on a freaking ridiculous paleo diet trying to get their body ready with no carbs and working out and training for that and getting ready for the race on a no carb diet that's like mass suicide for you. Now, on the World's Toughest Mudder Extreme, all of a sudden the majority of that race, a much larger percentage of that race, you're relying on your fat stores for your energy. And there's a tipping point there with your heart rate zones. Once you get up to high level tempo type efforts and above, you start having a much higher carbohydrate burn as your energy source. The body absolutely wants to burn carbohydrates in an event like TMX, or a 30-minute workout in the gym where you're training for TMX, where you're just dropping the freaking hammer. But over here at World's Toughest Mudder, we have to take a different approach. You're not relying on freaking 35 goo gels to get you through that. You obviously want to replace your glycogen stores, but you're altering your food somewhat, and that's that could be a whole nother podcast we could look at doing. But long story short, it's just different, and you're kind of you've got Tough Mudder and kind of in the middle of the road, and you have Toughest Mudder that's going to lean towards World's Toughest Mudder, but then you have these Atkins and these Trammels, freaking their tempo pace the entire time. That is a big time carbohydrate burn for them. It gets there's a lot of science that goes into it, and it's really cool when you look at the different type of events and different fuel needs. So yeah, man, we need another hour for that one, buddy, and get my wife involved.
How does somebody know if they're ready for World's Toughest?
This is kind of one of my standard things when it comes to real long sufferfests. If 1% of you is debating on, is this the right thing that I'm doing here? Am I meant to be doing this race? Then you have no business doing World's Toughest Mudder. You have to work on yourself mentally to where you are 100% geeked up and excited about your training. And when race day comes, you have to, the demons are going to come in and jump all over you in the race several times. You can't have those demons going in. You've got to have this strong mindset of crushing those demons on once you toe that start line. You can't be in a bad situation mentally. You can't be doubting anything. And that's the most important thing. I think so you have to be signed up. Amelia said it best in her recent article that she wrote for her blog. You really have to be, you've got to be signed up for the right reason. And the Sufferfests they're just different. You have to, if you go out and do in my Tougher Mudder that I raced in the other day, I took third place. That's an hour and 5-minute, 10-minute race. The demons aren't going to creep in that race. There's not going to be demons like, oh my God, what am I doing? This is terrible. I've got hours to go. That doesn't happen in races like that. But in World's Toughest Mudder, it will happen. So you've got to make sure you're doing it that you're dialed in and ready to enjoy this experience, this 24-hour experience of taking your body on one of the most amazing journeys, your mind and body on arguably, it could be the greatest journey you ever take your body on and take your body through. That's what you're going to get out of this. You're going to look at your bib or your headband or whatever, and that's going to mean something to you that a small percentage of people walking the planet that know exactly what you're talking about. So you don't need to be doing this because you were pressured into it, or you're like, oh, I just got to do this. There was so much pressure. You've got to really be dialed in to being extremely excited about this whole 24-hour experience. I don't think I can summarize it any better than that. At least that's my coaching perspective on it.
You run Yancy Camp at yancycamp.com. Yancy Camp is the most well-known training company in the OCR industry. I'm not a member yet, but I've been looking at the materials. You have several different programs, but the sexiest one is the Train with Elite OCR Yancy Camp Athletes. Can you tell me more about that one?
So what happened, I was, for several years, I was training athletes full time, and a lot of them were high level OCR athletes from the world of Tough Mudder, or Spartan, and various others brands. And you get to a point where at about 20, 25 athletes, you can't take on any more athletes full time, or you water down what you're able to provide for those athletes. So what I said, and you had hundreds of people that wanted to train, and obviously as a coach, we want to help everybody. We don't want to tell anybody no. So I was like, I've got to create a way to help these people without it crushing me, without it preventing me from doing what I do best, and that's coaching people. So I created Yancy Camp, and I built it around the concept of, okay, I'm going to allow you to see. I'll use World's Toughest or Tough Mudder. I'll stay with the Tough Mudder brand for now. I'm going to let you see what Miguel, Allison, Morgan, April, and soon to be Mark Jones. I'm going to let you see what I have them doing 3 days a week. Now, obviously, we're going to have people coming in to do their Tough Mudders and the World's Toughest Mudders and their Toughest Mudders, and they're not that level of athlete searching for podiums every time they step up to the start line. So every workout's written in a scalable fashion. You can scale it down by the number of rounds, the number of reps, the number of time per round. You could cut it down by 75% if you need to, but you're still getting to do what Miguel, Allison, Morgan, April, and Mark are doing. You're still getting to wrap your mind around, okay, these are successful athletes in the sport doing the races that I would like to do and that I'm training for. So I get 3 workouts a week. I launch them on Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday. So that works perfect for like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday plug-in, for example. You add 2 more workouts, maybe a long aerobic-based training run and something else. Maybe you like CrossFit, so you throw in 1 more CrossFit workout and you throw in your long run. And your 3 Yancy Camp workouts, I've designed them in a way where if you have a bad week and that's all you get in, that's actually not a bad week at all. That's a damn good week. And the people that know my workouts know, yeah, that's a damn good week. That I don't chalk it up at Sunday as a failed week. So you get that when you sign on. I take you through a battery of 5 fitness tests, and you log those in your online OCR fitness tracking log. So you kind of have your benchmarks when you start. Then you periodically retest so we can track your progression. There's videos that are describing some of the exercises that people might not know what the heck I'm talking about. You get access to our Yancy Camp OCR athletes and coaches closed Facebook group. So all the members of the team, if you post a question, I'll answer it. Allison may chime in, Morgan may chime in, April, Miguel, whoever, Matt Novakovich, Rose Wetzel, whoever, Kate Karen, they may chime in and answer your question as well. So you've got an OCR coach and an OCR athlete, high-performing OCR athlete that so you're able to – we may never actually meet you in person. You may live in New York, but we're this team of 3 now, athlete, and coach, and we're working together. So it provides you a level of accountability and this one very specific thing that I think is important, because 99.9% of us are not set up like Atkins and others out there where 100% of their time they can devote to training. So what happens is, for you and I and the hundreds of people that are signed up for Yancy Camp, they're working full-time jobs and they have an hour. I get 1 hour 3 or 4 or 5 times a week. I got to maximize that hour. I need to make sure that every minute of that hour is going to help me get better prepared for World's Toughest Mudder or Toughest Mudder. And when I do have a larger chunk of time, Yancy's thrown this bonus workout in there that he just had Morgan or Allison or April or Miguel do, where it shows me that 4-hour workout, or here's 4 different options of that 4-hour workout, so I can actually get that in on a Saturday or Sunday. So long story short, over the course of 6 months, you've maximized your time and you've got the most out of a $29 a month program that you possibly could get out of it, and you're just better prepared than you would have been if you just kind of winged it yourself. So convenient, inexpensive, effective. You get to team with a badass athlete that's proven and done a lot of, kind of lives on the podium type athlete, and a decent coach that absolutely loves taking care of you, man. I love the mental side of it as much as I do the writing the programs. I just love connecting with the people, and I spend probably 1 to 2 hours a day answering private message questions and comments that come into our closed group Facebook page, and it's just a blast, man. I pinch myself every freaking day and say, are you kidding me? Do I really get to do this as part of my full-time gig? And it just, I love every single day of it, man. There's not a day goes by that I'm not freaking grinning from ear to ear. Just love being to connect with the people in the sport of OCR. So that's a little bit about our program, man. So yeah, the other athletes on the roster are athletes that lean towards shorter distance stuff. They don't lean towards the Sufferfest. So athletes that listen to this that never plan on doing World's Toughest Mutters, Ultra Beasts, 12+ hour events, our other high level performing athletes are going to be athletes that you're going to see more workouts that are a little more geared towards that type of stuff. Now, some of the workouts will look the same across the board. Sometimes it might simply say, hey, Miguel's doing 4 rounds of this at a different pace than Rose or Matt Novakovic. That's sometimes it's as simple as that. And then sometimes it's a dramatic difference in what their bonus workouts look like and this and that. So that's kind of it in a nutshell, my friend.
It's $29 a month. Less than $1 a day.
Less than $1 a day.
You have a scoreboard also. What's that scoreboard about?
So the scoreboards, if you click on that, you'll see our 5 standard fitness tests. 2 mile / 3,200 meter run, burpee test, which is a 5-minute burpee test. I always say we don't practice burpees for failed obstacles. We practice burpees because it's actually a pretty darn decent full body movement. The 15% incline by 15 minutes from max distance, pull-up challenge, and my 10-100 grip and pull strength challenge. Basically, once you finish those 5 tests, we have a good general idea where your foundation is. There are 5 tests that people can, pretty much anybody can find a treadmill or find the way to get those. It doesn't take a lot of equipment to get those 5 tests done. And then we have some challenges. Periodically, I will add challenges. Anybody, for most of the challenges and all the fitness tests, anybody you see on the scoreboard, those are active members that are currently in the Yancy Camp program. Every now and then I'll launch challenges that are open up to the whole world, like my Yancy Camp 300 challenge that I launched on our anniversary when we launched our 300 workout. So like if you sign up, you're going to see 339 workouts right now. A lot of people think I'm crazy for doing it, but I actually leave all 339 workouts are at your disposal. We encourage you to stay on the 3 most active ones because then you're doing what Miguel and all of our athletes are doing, and Allison and April and Morgan and stuff. But, let's say you finished your workouts at the Saturday, you can go back to workout 100 and say, well, I wonder what they were doing back then. I'll plug that in. But anyway, the testing just kind of gives you an idea of where you stand. Like if I select the 15% times 15 minute scoreboard right now, you can see that Matt Novakovic is at the top. And, David Dietrich, who's a really good ultra OCR athlete from Austria, he's living in Germany right now. He's up there high on the board. Glenn Race, who was 3rd at Toughest Mudder LA, he's at 1.75. Obviously, the climbing came in. That was very important at that LA race. So you see Miguel up there with a high mark in number 7. So you can see, so all these other athletes are actually paying members, but you get to see kind of, the guy I'm partnered with, Miguel, he did that challenge. He did 1.55. I'm at 1.32. You kind of see where you compare with the athlete that you're partnered with. So that's kind of how the challenges work. Basically, when you log on, there's a tab where you enter your results. The moment you enter your results, they'll populate to the challenge board at a certain point. We're in the process of we're going to split them up where we have a male and female division right now. Everybody's grouped together. So that's kind of how the scoreboards work. It's kind of an accountability. People love stats and analytics and stuff. So it just kind of gives people an idea of where they stand. And, if number 50 is at 1.24, it's like, and you're at 1.15, you're now working your butt off to get yourself in the top 50 on the scoreboard. So that's kind of the basics of the scoreboard system.
If somebody wants to sign up right now, what should they do?
You would go to yancycamp.com. You would peruse around all of our athletes. The main decision you need to go there that we've gone over in great detail is, do you lean towards the shorter distance races or do you lean towards the longer sufferfests? Your Aprils, Miguel's, Morgan's, Allison's, and soon to be Mark Jones, those are the ones that lean towards the large sufferfest. You select one of those 5 or you select one of our other 10. And at that point, it takes you about a 15 to 30 second process. You'll get an email that allows you to set up a specific username and password. It takes a few minutes. And then every time you go to Yancy Camp on your mobile device or your computer from that point on, the top right-hand corner, you simply choose My Yancy Camp and log your username and password. And then you're on your personal page. You see that your primary... Your team was so-and-so. Here's your latest workout that Yancy's launched. Here's all my tabs. And it's as simple as that. We've got it. It's an extremely user-friendly process that's been pretty much vetted. And there's still some changes that I want to make. We're always growing and grooming it. But it's very easy to follow. And if you can walk and breathe, you can pretty much do the workouts because they're all scalable. They all can be easily scaled down. And I write, if it's a, for lack of better terms, if one of the sections of the workouts has pull-ups, I'll give you many different ways to do assisted pull-ups or other things you can do to work up toward pull-ups. So, half my clients when they start can't do a single pull-up, but eventually I've got females that couldn't do a single pull-up that are now doing 18 pull-ups, and obviously that helps a lot out on course. But that's the basic. Super easy sign-up process. If you're an athlete that's really just touching your toe in the water of fitness, we have a graduated down version, and you can team with one of our superheroes up top. And the workouts are just going to be a lot more basic introduction to fitness. These are real-life people that are just, they have their own struggles, and they've struggled in, working fitness into their lifestyle long-term and staying consistent. So you can actually team with an athlete that's not a pro level athlete, just a normal Jane or John, and that's your accountability partner versus some podium world's toughest mudder athlete. So I started Superheroes because I had a lot of people that just, even scaling them down, they were just a little intimidated by some of the workouts. And I get that, that it could be that way for somebody that might be overweight and just not the best fitness level, and they're just kind of getting their toe wet with diving into fitness. So that's what the Superheroes program is all about. But yeah, man, sign up's easy, super simple, and the program's very easy to follow. The second thing you'd want to do the moment you sign up is request to be added to our closed Facebook group called Yancy Camp OCR Athletes and Coaches. That gets you, we've got about 90 people in that closed group, and that's where we're just constantly throwing questions and high fives and, words of praise to just anything and everything that's going on. If you race, you post your race results, or athletes post questions, and then they get answered by myself and or their athlete they're teamed with, that kind of stuff. So that's us, man.
Yancy, any last thoughts on training for World's Toughest Mudder?
Make sure that you follow through with what I said 20, 30 minutes ago about doing this for the right reason. For 90% of us, we're not signing up for this race to try to get a top 10 spot. Make sure that you, and when you listen to Will's podcast here, make sure you write these things down that I'm getting ready to say. These are some bullet points that you must take with you to Henderson/Vegas. You've got to, I want you fully prepared to meet as many people as you possibly can meet. I want you to get there early, stand in line at the registration, talk to as many people as you can talk to. Get there early and set your tent up and network. I want you to leave there having as many new people in your network that you could possibly have. Because I'm telling you right now, as a business owner, if I was hiring 10 people and they said, Yancy, where would you want to go to find your next employees? I'd say I'd want to be at the pit area and the whole experience at World's Toughest Mudder. So Go there and take in. Yes, you want to have your best race. You may want to get your 25-mile patch, your 50-mile bib, whatever. You're going to have some goals. But with those goals, for most of us, I want you to put this above even those goals. I want you to meet and network with as many people as you can. Let yourself open up to communicating with all the people that make the Tough Mudder community so freaking amazing, because, I mean, it was life-changing for me. That community helped me get through cancer. I mean, a crazy roller coaster ride. There are people that, I mean, would give you the shirt off your back if you needed it, even if they don't know you. You new person that I'm talking to right now on this podcast that's listening to this, that's taking on these bullet points, you're going to be that new person. You may not know a single person there, or maybe one or two, but everybody there, for the most part, would give you anything you needed on the spot if you needed it right then and there. I've been around the sports world for a long time, and this is not debatable. If it's triathlons, if it's road running, if it's track meets, if it's this world of cycling, I don't care what it is. You can't show me another sport that has that level, that high a percentage of people that will drop everything they're doing and just freaking serve you on the spot. So make sure you take that in. Allow yourself to open up and be served, and dive into now being a part of the movement. And that's the OCR movement is, you're being served and you're serving others, because at the end of the day, man, most of us aren't searching for that podium, but you know what? We get to go out and run the exact same race and hang out with the exact same people of all the podium chasers. And you know what? 99% of the podium chasers are freaking really cool people too. So it's an experience like no other, man. So I hope a million people listen to this and decide to go freaking dive into the Tough Mudder movement. If it's your freaking little 5K Tough Mudder, man, you got to start somewhere. And then 2 or 3 years from now, I'll see you in Vegas or wherever we go.
Special thanks to Yancy Culp for appearing in this episode. Well done, Yancy. Don't forget, Saturday, July 22nd, 4 o'clock Eastern on CBS is Toughest Mudder LA. Do not miss it. Thanks a lot, you guys.